I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You Podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expert in You Podcast. I'm your host, Carden. And oh my gosh, we are already having fun behind the scenes before we started recording this today. So you're going to love my guest. We have just been having a blast. So Michael Peluso, welcome to my show.
Hey, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love you. You have such great energy, and I am just grateful to be here.
Well, you do as well. And we actually did find out when we kind of talked about what we were going to talk about on the show. We found out that we actually have a lot of similarities in our backgrounds, which was pretty cool because that was something that I had no idea. I'm just looking at what he's doing today and everything, all of his success, and had no idea that we kind of even came from some of the same background and some of the same world. So that was cool. So you never know when you get into conversations with people who you were talking to and where those conversations will go. So Michael is an amazing speaker, a consultant for entrepreneurs, and he also is he's a serial entrepreneur. He is a great consultant, but he is also part of one of the top 1% marketing agencies in the world. And we'll hit on that a little bit. He really wants to talk about his consulting today, but we are going to talk a little bit about that. But he's got just some great things to share with you. And Michael, I'm just super excited to have you here. So thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't you give everybody a quick rundown of currently what you've got going, and then a little bit of your backstory as to how you got where you are?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with the backstory because that'll contextualize. So when I was 5, but the doctors, I came up, I was born in the 80s and when I was 5, during that time period, there was this big push towards people getting diagnosed with ADHD and taking medication in school. And so I was one of those kids they were like, 2 + 2 = 4. I was like, okay, got it. And then they were like, all right, now 2 + 2 = 4. And I was just, my eyes glazed over. I was like, okay, how many times are we going to learn this? And so I was one of those kids in school that was having a struggle paying attention and got diagnosed with ADHD, was given medication. The medication prevented me from sleeping. The sleep prevented me from functioning. And so it snowballed. So when what happens then is you become a problem to yourself. The members in your community we need to address Michael. He's a concern. He's really smart, but he's not performing at school, or he comes to school and he's really social. And so at a very young age, I realized that I need to create tools for myself. And that sparked this personal journey of transformation where I went out, I studied something called corrective holistic exercise kinesiology, which is a mouthful, and a whole bunch of other stuff, which just sounds ridiculous when you try to explain it to somebody. But it really was and is the look at beliefs and habits and health and how they impact each other. And so that study led me to discover some really easy to apply skills and habits. And then applying them on a professional level led me to speaking at different types of events, investor expos, and with entrepreneurs, and coaching and consulting. And the coaching and consulting, believe it or not, inversely taught me about business because I was able to understand and live through real scenarios that were happening. And and somewhere in the process, we launched a software company. So we've got a software company, and the CEO of the software company that's like a marketing and sales company, have a consulting firm. We help people create books, identify their unique gift, and write books and create movies. And then what I'm most excited about, because it is a family business, and I'm head of business development for the business. My sister's the CEO. My other sister's the creative director, and we have a marketing agency called 3 Summers Creative, and we're top 1% in the world. And I love that business because in my mind, I get I see my kids and they're playing with each other. Like I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I see them playing with each other. And today I spend the majority of my time playing with my siblings, creating really cool stuff. So
I love it. Oh my goodness.
And it's nice to get paid for it while you're,
Yes, that's the best thing about this industry. It's like we get to help people and we get paid well for what we do. So to me, is there anything better?
I know, right? It's like, to me, it's like a dream,
Yes, you have this dream life. Yeah. I love it. That's such a great story. So it brought you into really with the coaching and the consulting. Now that is separate really from your marketing agency, right? So you do really have multiple things going here. And so what got you into, obviously you are a natural born speaker. You can already see that, his energy, and he's super comfortable on camera. He's just got a lot going on, but how did you kind of transition into the coaching consulting from the marketing agency and even from the software company?
Yeah. So for me, what happened was, that's a great question, by the way. That's a great question, Coach. So for me, the order of operations was, I started off inside of lifestyle consulting. And so what I was working with is, very health oriented. I was working with international athletes. We were training for something called the ISDE, which is a motocross race. Like imagine these guys, and they're incredible, men, women, racing up and down the edge of ski mountains, mountains and going across the country. And these races were 6.5 days long.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Full days.
I don't think you told me all this, Michael.
This is
new. This is new stuff.
So what happened was I was working with these people, and in order for them, I was very fortunate. They were top. These people owned engineering firms, truck companies, and it afforded them the ability to go compete at this level. And so while we were training for these very intense races, I was intimate with them during this time period. And that intimacy, you talk about health, but then you talk about relationships, you talk about their businesses, and so it gave me firsthand knowledge of what was working and what wasn't working, and the mindset and the decision-making on a micro level. So I saw how their business, what their greatest asset was preventing them from growing, and also how their greatest asset was helping them grow, and in a very open space. And so I was very blessed to have that and begin the consulting from health and transfer it over to businesses. But also I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. Every person in my family is a business owner, from both my parents to my grandparents on both my side and my wife's side. And so,
oh my gosh, we come from really similar backgrounds. Yes. That's crazy. Okay, go on. We didn't talk about that either.
Yeah, no.
I'm learning a lot about Michael.
We are going to have we need to throw a mastermind together.
I know. This is phenomenal. Okay, so very cool. So you had all this background. So keep going.
I learned, I just being in communication and conversation and focusing on questions. So working with these people gave me really, for me. I remember I grew up in a relatively, I grew up in a very wealthy area, but with a family that was very entrepreneurial minded, but liked to give away the farm. And I say that because I remember my dad, his business was a construction company. And I remember I remember somebody saying, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you just change that light bulb, on your way out? And he went on there and went to change the light bulb. And when he got on the countertop broke. And he was the kind of person, so like he was in this situation where, and then you know what he did? He paid for their countertop, so he was in this situation where like he just took on the responsibility of things to the point where it prevented his own success. And so for me, looking at these, for me, I always thought, well, the success will be if I make more money, if I'm able to make more money. But now I'm in this situation where these people have lots of money and they have other problems.
Right. Right.
So,
the problems don't change. They just change. Oh, I shouldn't say the problems don't go away. They just change.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. It's you have the same, or you have the same problem. It's just what kind of car you're driving up to the party in, are you in a Porsche or are you in like the minivan with the missing window, but so I learned from them. I got really intimate with when you're with people that have that can create any resource that they're looking for within, and in that environment, there was times that things would come up. For example, you need more sleep. You got to get more sleep, or you need to eat this way. And these were things that they said, yes, I agree with. This is impacting my personal life, my professional life. There's no doubt about it. I need to be able to do this, but then things wouldn't change.
Right.
And sitting there and looking at that and questioning that as an idea. Okay. So we know that this is going to make the biggest difference in their life. They agree that this is going to make the biggest difference in their life. We know how to measure it. We know how to look at it. We know that it's a goal, but yet things aren't changing, or they're not changing as fast. Why is that the case? That inquiry has been, and then solving that issue tangibly, practically. What is it? Is it mindset? Is it, that to me, solving that problem became, in the wake of that, became opportunities to consult with people.
I love it. It's so interesting. Mostly when I work with people, they come from the same type of background where they've got this expertise, this experience, and they just see something that is just not being filled in the market. And, it was that way for me too. When I got into coaching, I saw small business owners, I worked with them, and I saw the mindsets and I saw why they weren't successful. And I could really easily see what was stopping them. And you realize that's a gift. Everyone doesn't have that, right? Yep. But you've got all this experience and all this knowledge and this background that it's really easy to see those things. And then I love that you took it a step further, like I did as well. And okay, how can I be the person that helps them get beyond?
And I love that you're touching on this, because and we shared this when we first spoke, and maybe I'll say it in a different way so that everyone that's listening can really get it. The expert in you, at least for me, is not something that it's like when Michelangelo was asked how he created David, he said, I took a piece of marble and removed what wasn't David.
Right. That's right.
So it's like, you're already perfect, whole, complete. You're already an expert. And what's there is to just remove these habits and obstacles and ideas and people and so that your natural light can shine through.
Yes. Your superpower, your genius, I say your sweet spot. But yeah, I love this. Okay. So you do help like really high achievers who need to really get healthier and rebalance their life because it affects their profession, because it affects their business. It's a missing piece, and you're holding them accountable. You're holding their feet to the fire to make sure they're doing those things. Is that right? That's a piece of it.
Yep. And one thing I don't want to, one thing that's important, that I was speaking about this yesterday, a lot of times as coaches and consultants, we'll look there and we'll say, well, what's their goal? Is their goal visible? Right. But there's a lot of space between that goal. Huge.
Lots of little dots between the lines.
Right. And then so say, well then, okay. So that inquiry into, well, what's missing? To me, what I found was the first mechanism was the believability of someone to themselves. Can whoever I'm working with, can you as the listener, can you tell yourself you're going to do something and follow through with it? to the point where every time you say you're going to do something, you believe yourself, and you believe yourself too when you say you're not going to do something. And is that muscle developed and built? So that, to me, that I think is probably one of the most important mechanisms that shows up. So if you have a goal, that's great. Make sure your goal is 10 times bigger than you thought.
Right.
So that, so you have collaboration around it. And then take that goal, break it down to something that's small enough that you can do, that you can tell yourself you're going to do, that you can show up and do it with integrity, and get yourself that win. And don't commit to something that you know that you're not going to do, because it just trains your brain to no longer believe your own thinking.
Oh, I love that. Wow, that is really powerful. That's a powerful thought process for people. I love set big goals, but then also be realistic about what you're going to do to achieve those. So that's awesome. The other thing you talked about is time management. One of the big things that you do with people is really help them manage their time so they can achieve, so they can take time for their healthy lifestyle, so they can have a more balanced life. All of those things you help them do. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So you know how there's yin and yang? Well, in that same way, there is living away from an idea and living into a future. Yes. Oh, I love it. You're like, I know where he's going.
I know exactly what. So I'll tell you about it. So we'll talk about this a little bit. I don't want to disrupt your thought, but I will share something with you when we get done. So keep going. Keep going.
I love you. Like I said, we have so much fun. I can't wait to get together. When can we do lunch?
I know. I tell you what, I meet the best people on my podcast. So I just love it. Oh my goodness. Okay.
All right.
Cool. So keep going.
So for me, what happened, so there I am, I'm this child, I'm diagnosed with ADHD. Now I'm a concern, and justfully so, right? Like, people want to see you succeed. And when they feel like you're not succeeding, whether or not they are able to locate the source, they just want to contribute. And so what it did was it created this psyche of trying to, it created me as a problem versus, so what happens is the first thing to recognize when it comes to time management is that you may or may not be aware that you're living away from what you don't want, not into what it is that you do want. Yes. And so this process that I'm about to share will shift that thinking. You see, you cannot control your past. It's already happened. You can change the way you think about your past, but you can't control your past. Yeah. You're not going to go back and change an event. You can go back and change your idea of the event, but that event in the past does not dictate your future. And since your brain is the greatest goal achieving machine on earth, if you have a clear vision for what you want to accomplish in the future, and it's not based off the fears, frustrations, and challenges of the past, you're now living into something that is free to create. Yeah. And so people that are forward thinking, it's called, people that are forward thinking, when they struggle with something, they're not collapsed in the idea, the struggle, they can create a new idea.
Yes.
And move forward. But the question becomes, well, how do you make that transition? Mike, I hear you, but how do I make that transition? I swear by this. When I go to speak at events, this is what I teach. And here's what it is. The first thing that you want to do is set aside time to master time. Step one, set aside time to master time. I recommend 2 hours on a Sunday while you're starting out. The next thing that you want to do is show up for that time that you set aside to master time and clear your mind out. Get completely clear, get all of your concerns out. I'll get into that in a minute. Then you want to create an agenda. What are your core values? What direction do you need to balance yourself? What's your health goals? What are your relationship goals? What is all the stuff that's bouncing around in your head that you want to accomplish, and get it all out on a piece of paper. And when you have this weekly ritual, that's just practicing time management and forward thinking, you're going to pull up this agenda of all the things that matter to you. Okay. So next, schedule what matters to you on the calendar in the form of blocking out time, and ask yourself, let me start. Let me layer it a little bit. So the future doesn't have an emotion in it yet. It's a blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about your future, you're going to create a future based off of the emotional state that you're in when you think about your future. So what this does is it gives you an opportunity to sit down, clear your mind out, drop into a state of gratitude and meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish? What will my perfect exercise program be? What can I do in my business? And asking that question will assemble a new and novel idea. And that new and novel idea will take place in the form of a vision in which you intentionally schedule.
Yeah.
And so you're shifting into the power of asking your subconscious mind how to assemble a series of ideas together. So right now, if I said, I'd like everyone to think of a car, right? And now inside of that car, I'd like you to put I would like you to put Napoleon. Right. So you got your car and you got Napoleon inside of the car. And now take the car with Napoleon inside of the car and put it in front of Walt Disney World. Okay. So now you can kind of visualize that. And what we did is we created a new and novel vision. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use language, and I'm going to call this a visualization exercise. And we're going to call it the greatest visualization exercise. And later on, because I put this label on there, later on we could say, hey, remember the greatest visualization exercise that Mike said? And we'd be able to recall it.
Yes.
Because
it reminds me of the joke, or the joke where they say 29, 46. Did you ever hear that?
No. What is it? Tell me the joke.
Okay, so a bunch of really elderly men are sitting on a porch, and they all say, and somebody says 29, and everybody laughs. And then somebody said, oh, how about 46? And everybody laughs. Come to find out they were jokes that they've told so many times, they all know them.
Right. Yes. It's like once you just pull the label and all that information's there.
Sorry, that was really going down a rabbit hole and off script here.
No, but that's the point, right? I love it. So when I say gratitude, I instantly think of my grandmother. I think of sitting on the porch, sitting there, and my grandfather making me a sandwich in the middle of the night. I think of the people. Here's money for the first car that you need, Mike. And it's all right there when I say the word gratitude.
Yes.
So when we sit there and we say, when we sit there and we say exercise program, boom, So, okay. So backtrack. All right. So this idea of label, and then this daisy chain of all these different visualizations into this new and novel idea, that's the power of question. So if you're stuck and you're not sure what your week should look like, or you're not sure about this particular area, it's because it's literally a language issue. It's arriving in language. And if you ask yourself if the other side is possible, you'll unstick yourself. So in other words, does that make sense? I know that it's kind of.
No, it really does. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to kind of hit on this a little bit, because you said basically you're either going towards something or you're going away from something, right? Yeah. And so one thing that a lot of people don't know, and you're a marketer, so you see this, and this is, I think, one of the things that you all have built your foundation on, is people are always out there trying to get people to buy out of fear, out of pain, and what a lot of people don't realize is that the most successful people, I always say this in my business when I help people get higher end clients, they're not running from something. They're running towards something.
Yes.
And it's a very different mindset. It's a very different way of thinking. They're not trying to get out of pain, because I say that's a quick fix, and that's not going to be a long-term client. That's not going to be someone. So that's my business, right? But that's really what I just put up a post yesterday and on Facebook about this, and on LinkedIn about this, about the highest level people, the really successful people, the people that could afford to go and do the races. they're always striving to achieve. And so it's not a pain. It's a gap, or it's something that they want. It's a desire. It's something that they want.
There's two kinds of people. There's people that are short on money. And there's people that are short on time.
Yes.
People that are short on time want to know how you can get them to where they need to be quicker.
Yes. That's why funnels don't work for those people.
That's right.
Yeah. They don't.
Perfect. All right. So we know that funnels don't work.
Yes.
Guys, we know that funnels don't work.
Well, they do work for really, really low value people.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
I say low value, I'm talking strictly financial. Okay.
Yes.
Or not yet in the mindset of real growth. So I talk about this all the time because, people are trying to use funnels and the Russell Brunson method, like, sell them something for $7 and then send them up. Well, they'll ascend to a couple thousand. They're not going to ascend to 50,000. I said, a $50 client I've yet to see become a 50,000 because they are in very different worlds and very different places and very different mindsets. And they are looking for the fastest path. And so it's like, just give me the fastest path. Don't make me go through all your stuff. Don't make me do all of this.
Right? I don't personally have time to read your lead magnet. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't have time to do it.
Yes.
I'm going to call you right up. If I can't get you on the phone, then you're probably too busy, and I'm going to call you right up. And this is what I need. How much do you need from me so that you can accomplish this? And do we have a clear objective?
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
And they buy quickly. They're very decisive. They know what they want. They know what's missing. And it's like you show up in front of them and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for you. Where have you been?
And they've done their research first.
Oh, yes. Behind your back, you have to be well positioned. We talk about that.
Yeah.
They have to know that you are their person, that you are truly the expert and the authority, for sure.
One of the things that we were talking about before that we should bring up, is that so there was this big boom of lead generation information that was out there, the funnels and the low ticket, and it gave a lot of people the impression that such a thing is a long-term play, and it isn't. That is not only is that going away, but there is now going to be more and more of an emphasis on creating value.
Yes.
Post call, how do I create value after an interaction with somebody? How do I teach relationship skills to my team? How do I, you can't fake leadership.
Right.
So every coach, consultant, entrepreneur, business owner that is out there, you are the tides are coming in your way, and you're positioned very well for the future. Here's what we know. There, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you see crypto," and there's this thing called Web3. And the idea behind Web3 is, well, there's this entire internet platform now that's anonymous. That's the whole idea. Oh, it's anonymous. You can now surf and own. You have a wallet that's cryptocurrency, and it's anonymous, right? And people now with the iOS update. Oh, what they did was they updated Apple, and now you can't track people. You can't track Apple users. Mm-hmm. So we see this push where they're removing the capability of marketing to a demographic. But what happens then? It becomes less and less efficient. So what do? We focus on creating reviews. We focus on testimonials. We focus on real relationships, which you cannot fake.
Yes.
And to create relationships, you have to have interpersonal skills. You have to have communication skills, and you have to have some systems and some automations to do it with consistently.
Yes. Wow. We could talk all day. I just know that we're a week. No, I think everything you're saying is so spot on, and people have to, and again, in my business, I'm helping people get those ultra high end clients. So it's always about, okay, they want high touch. They want quick results. But they'll stay with you a long time.
Yeah.
Because they'll see the value in that. Right. But they are coming from a very different place. And so I love that you're talking about the shift in the marketing, the things that are going away, the things that, let's face it, people have made billions of dollars with funnels, right? Billions and billions of dollars with funnels, but it's still always bringing in a particular client. And it's so saturated. Like, good luck with it.
They have time, but they don't. Yeah, they have time, but they don't have money. And like speaking about getting really high-end clients, like, so think about that at the end outcome of that high-end client, right?
Yes.
They want to have time, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have resources to make choices.
That's
and
right.
because they have time, freedom, and they have resources to make choices, at the more they're successful, the more they want to get to where they want quicker, which means you need to provide them a process.
Mm-hmm.
But the actualization of that human being at least in my mind, is someone who provides value to those that are around them.
Yes.
Speaks from authority, is light has fun, has the resources to create freedom.
Yes.
So when you're positioning yourself, if your business model is facilitating that for them and creating referrals and creating that, then you're exemplifying who they're looking to be.
Yeah.
And attracting people at the same time, which is what you're teaching people. So it's really brilliant.
Yes, I really love what you're talking about, and even talking about your marketing. One of the things that you said is it's all around the communication, and how you all became the top 1% is all around the communication. And you and I do some similar things in the fact that we help people build authority and their expertise, and you do books and things like that. But it's such an important piece. I think also this helps the cream rise to the top. Yeah. The people that really know their stuff, the people that, and really it's a matter of just helping them kind of hone that, shine the spotlight on that, and get what they want. I mean, at the end of the day, just get what they want and help them with those missing pieces. But really your marketing agency has kind of been built on that, has it not?
Yeah, it has. And I think like, so what kind of makes our strategy very interesting, outside. So first, what we did was we made sure that we created a company culture, that we focused 100% on the sanctuary that our company is, for creatives. Because because you can't hold a gun to a creative's head and say, create something. Does not go very well. They get mad, they quit, so that gun is time and pressure and expectation and judgment of what they're creating. And so what we had to do is we had to recognize the yin and yang of things, which is the creative being the fulfillment side, and then sales and relationships being the outside. Lots of creatives are very introverted. And so we had to balance that out. We had to find people that are in sales that really believe in creativity and sharing the talents and skills of others, and the talents and the people that are talented and skilled, that are willing to let us put them in the spotlight, even though they may not necessarily, we send the awards out for them. And so that balance is part of it. The other thing is recognizing that communication right now, everyone's listening to me and you're listening to what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is creating those folders inside of your mind. And what I'm speaking to is a set of existing beliefs that you have. And so how do I, as a marketer, how do I, as a company owner, how do I create a unique set of beliefs in the marketplace? And so what we found is that there was a pretty easy to apply formula for helping create company culture that has everybody that's in the company pounding the same drum of the same beliefs. But also creates that marketplace differentiator where people say, oh, I know who that company is beyond just their offer. I know who they are. I know what they believe in. And so, basically we said, what's the main belief that we are as an organization and why, and then what are the sub beliefs? And then we just keep pounding that drum in every single arena.
I love it. Wow. Oh my goodness. So you've given such great information here. So we've talked about belief patterns. We've talked about healthy and balanced lifestyle. We've talked about time management. We've talked about going towards success and not trying to just fix pain.
Yeah.
We've even talked about funnels, which did not even know we were going to talk about that, Michael.
Yep.
And the myth of funnels. So no, this has been such a great conversation. I've truly enjoyed it. And the other thing too, one thing that we didn't really hit on, but I know you do it, I do it, is really client experience and customer experience. So you talked about some of the things that you do with your clients, and then we found out that we do some similar things. So like luxury retreats or retreats with your clients, to be able to give them that experience, and all of that it really builds that culture with your clients, and it builds those relationships. And that really, in a nutshell, is a lot of what we're talking about here, is having those strong relationships with people, and helping your clients do the same thing with what they're doing, whether that's in their company or whether that's with their own customers or their own clients. So when you model that, I think that it just projects that onto other people wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah. It's amazing. I think one of the things that we share that's really exciting about being blessed to be able to be with people as they share where they're really at, and invite you in to give them some reflection, which is just, oh, I'm sorry. Did you forget that you're already perfect? Did you forget that you're as amazing as you are? Oh, I'll remind you, like
that's right.
Did you forget that
and they do.
And they do, and then what's funny is then you walk away like, oh, I'm so grateful to have contributed to them. And then you walk into the door, turn around back to them, and you're like, man, my nose hurts. And they're like, oh, no worries. Your nose will feel better tomorrow. And you're like, oh, thank you. But it comes right around. Right. But I think like that, we touched on this before. And there's this one thing that I could leave everyone with. It is this, outside of value and paving the path you walk with contributive value to those that you care about. It is that in those times where someone comes to you and they say, I'm dealing with this, I have this fear, I have this frustration, I have this challenge, or I have this want, I have this need and this desire. If you can get them down to that language of if you knew what, would this not be an issue for you? Would you just be able to jump right back into action? If you can get it down into language, and get it just into one sentence, and ask them to consider if the other side is true. I'm just not a good marketer. I'm just not good at sales. I just don't know people. And just say, is it possible that you can become a great marketer? Is it possible that you're already a good marketer and you didn't even know it? Is it possible that you are good at sales? Is it possible that you do know enough people? If you ask them to consider the other side, in the considering, you'll have created a new vision, because you'll have combined what they believe with now a new belief, and it resolves the initial block. And so it really is sometimes as simple as saying, yeah, you forgot how incredible you are. Is it possible that you forgot? And when they consider, oh man, maybe I did forget. There was that time, there is that evidence. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, back in action.
Right. And we always see ourselves different anyway, right? That's so powerful. So powerful. I think that's a great place to leave everyone, and a great question that they can even ask themselves about where they believe they are, or what they are capable of. So I love it. Michael, this has just been a blast. So Michael, thank you so much for being my guest. You have shared a lot of value. You have given a lot of things that I think are going to provoke thought for people and really get them thinking in a different way. You're amazing. And I love your backstory and where it's brought you. And you're making so much impact out there in the world. So thank you for that. And just thank you for who you are and what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. And likewise, anybody, you are learning from the best. If you are listening to this, you are learning from the best. You are the best. I am so grateful to be here and to be able to follow you and learn from you too. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I was going to say you are, but hey. I love it. So thank you so much. All right, everyone. Michael, one thing, what do you want to drive people to who watch this, do you want them to book a call with you? What's that call to action you would like to have? Forgot to ask.
Yeah, book a call with me. Send me an email or find me, so I guess my email, should I share my email? Is that?
Actually, why don't you just give it to me and then we'll share it in the show notes of the podcast and people will have those links that they can just click. So yes.
Yeah. Yes, just reach out.
Yes, there you go. And he is on LinkedIn. And actually, that's how Michael and I met and where I found him. I get a lot of my wonderful podcast guests from LinkedIn. So he is on there. And I don't know, are you on Facebook too, Michael? Or
I am on Facebook. Yes.
Okay. Where's your most active place?
I have a probably LinkedIn, Facebook. Honestly, they're all managed by assistants at this point. So it's hard to actually get me there. Most actively, text me. Send me a message.
There you go. We'll just put his information in the show notes and then you can reach him. So thank you again for being here. And thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Expert in You. And we can't wait to talk to you again next week. You all have an amazing week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.